Welcome to our program on Kardec Radio.
Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. This is our first show of 2021. I hope you have had a great holidays. I know for some who are very restricted and isolated holidays, but I hope you have had time to study, to read, to exercise your knowledge. And today we have our friend Samanta Alves with us. And today's topic is, as you can see, the entire week, Kardec Radio and us, we are giving, we're dedicating our time to explain more about Leon Denis, and we will talk more about him throughout this live here, and why, and then you understand why we are dedicating our time to talk about Leon Denis. Okay, but before talk about Leon Denis, I would like to start with our initial prayer. So, Sa, you do the final prayer, do the initial prayer, okay?
Sure. Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So, let's sit comfortably. Open up our heart. Lift up our thoughts towards Jesus, towards our mentors. Ask them to look after ourselves, our needs. Look after our brothers and sisters who are suffering in the hospitals, at home, on the streets, without any shelter, in nursing homes, those who are suffering from anxiety, and especially those brothers and sisters who are thinking about suicide. May this prayer somehow reach them. And they get to know they are not alone. And may their hope be reestablished in their hearts, in their mind. So be it. Amen. Okay, so let's see who's here with us. Patricia, Patti, how are you, my dear friend? Good to see you are here with us. And that's it. We have over 20 people, but just Patricia had the courage to say hi. So, I have my little notes here because it's too many things to talk about Leon Denis. Okay, so you or I, who should introduce Leon Denis?
Well, I don't mind.
So?
Okay. So, I think the most important thing that we need to say, like straight away, is that we are talking about him this week because he was born on the 1st of January. So this week today's the 5th, but this week, the entire week, we are going to be talking about him mainly because it would be, or it is, the 175th year of his anniversary. So, and the other thing is that probably the most important thing about him is that he was a follower of Allan Kardec, and probably if Allan Kardec didn't have accepted the challenge or it is a challenge basically, of codifying Spiritism. The spirit world had other people that could accept this challenge instead of him. So Allan Kardec gratefully accepted the challenge, but Leon Denis could be a very good one as well. So he was a follower of Allan Kardec. He was prepared by the spiritual world to bring Spiritism to us. So this is really, really important. So basically, he was a very curious person. And very philosophical in his mindset. So he was always looking for answers to his own doubts or his own struggles. And he was from a very humble family. And throughout his life, he was seeking for the truth. He was trying to learn different things so he could find his answers. And one day he was in the library and he found the Spirits book from Allan Kardec. He started to read it and he was impressed about the work. He thought it was a really, really, really interesting way of explaining everything, and it all made a lot of sense to him. So that's how it all started. And after that, he became obsessed with Spiritism. He started to read a lot, and he wanted to, as most of us, I believe, he wanted to find ways of proving, because the Spiritism is very rational as well. So it has this rational side of it. And he wanted to find the proofs or things that could back up all the theory, events that could back up all the theory. So he started to study more and more, and he wanted to experiment as well. So he found the work of other people that actually helped him with this proof, let's say like that. But as he was looking for all these experiences as well, he had on the 1st of November, if I'm not mistaken, which is the Day of the Deads, the Deads, he found his answer. So he received the grace of being inspired, if we can say like that. He was a medium as well, so he had the opportunity to talk to a spirit, and from that day on, he had other experiences like that as well. So that was a very important fact for him in his journey. He wrote a lot of books, and I think that the good thing about what he wrote is that he never went away from Allan Kardec teachings.
That's the most important thing. Yes, the base of Kardec, you're always with him.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I think that the most important aspect of his writing is that he was very gracious with his words, and his books were more digestible. Not that Allan Kardec's books were not, but they were more scientific, if we can say like that, because Allan Kardec was a scientist, so he had this this line of thought.
Philosophical. Denis' book were more philosophical books.
Exactly. So Leon Denis had this more philosophical mindset. So I think his work is really good because it brings all the main concepts of spiritism. He goes he not only explains the basic, but also he goes deep into it and explains everything in a very digestible and sometimes even poetic way. So it's really, really easy to understand. And for those who wants to understand more about Spiritism and learn more from it, maybe his work would be a very good start because he summarizes Spiritism in his main work, which is After That in English. And then he summarizes Spiritism in a very nice, very explanatory, very didactic way. He has a structure that facilitates your understanding. So
we go over through it. Yeah, we go over through it.
Yeah. So I think if we can introduce him, that is a summary of who he is and why we are talking about him and a little bit of his work.
Yeah. Well, just before I go, I would like to say hello to our friends. Now, a lot of people have courage to write to us. So we have Wanderlei. He's on holidays. He'll be back next week. Juca, our dear friend from UK, Elsa Rossi. Our friend from Texas, Darnell. I hope you had a great holidays, Darnell. Joana de Leo. And Aline Giordano. So, welcome everyone. Thank you very much. So, yeah. So we will talk about how Leon Denis became, let's say, one of the main followers of Allan Kardec. And of course, sorry, and now we have Don from Chicago. Okay. Hey, Don, here is very cold. It's not like Chicago, but we are nearly there. So, and we will now understand why. We needed to go back to 1889 when we had one of the International Spiritualists Congress. And in this Congress, it was accorded by the participants that they need to have a kind of compilation and, let's put in quotes, easy reading of Kardec's books. And Leon Denis just stand up his hands and said, "Hey, I am already working on it." And his idea will not be more than 300 pages, and I'm still working this. He will emphasize more the main points of the Spiritist doctrine, and also make this more accessible to everyone, so it's easy reading. They accepted this, and I think months later he had the book done. Unfortunately, it was not 300 pages; it's 334. Sorry, no, but he could summarize in a beautiful way these books. And we go through some topics here, which is very, very good topics. But beforehand, I'm curious here. Do you know anything about Leon Denis that we have mentioned here? Have you read his books? Let us know. Let's share here, because today we will introduce Leon Denis, and on Thursday we will have Flavio Zanetti, and Flavio will go through his process of teachings, of structures. So he will go more deep inside, let's say, Leon Denis mindset. Okay, so let us know. So we can say this book, named After Death, it's composed of 5 chapters, in which the first 2 chapters, he will go through the essence of the spiritism in other religions. Religions know at that time. So we are back to 19th century. Okay, so if you pick the list now of all religions we have in the world, if you compare with today's list, of course, it's missing some, but it's not missing some. It's because in 19th century, that's the well-known religion. So he went to India, he went to Greece, he went to Asian religion. So what he is doing, he is not criticizing. He was not, even though Catholic religion, he was not criticizing or making any comparison, or no, he was not doing this. Let me see here. Daniel said, I have not read his books, but I'm very interested in his writings. Yes, Daniel, I'm really, we will see. I hope at the end of this introduction here, you will be encouraged to acquire his books. I will let you know when you can have these books. So keep going here. He was not criticizing, he was not comparing, he was not desiccating each religion. He was just finding the Spiritism teachings in those religions. He said, hey, the Indian in India, they believe in this. So this is here, look here. So he was doing like this, these comparisons. Okay, so that's very good. And let's say,
can I just add to
yeah,
one thing to it? I think it's very interesting what he did, because he was just trying to show that Spiritism is not created by Allan Kardec or whoever. And he was trying to show that Spiritism always existed. Even in those traditions, there are some aspects of Spiritism there. And Spiritism came with Allan Kardec, the way it did, because we were more prepared to understand the principles of Spiritism. So he explains that really well as well in his work, which I think is very interesting way of thinking. Because some people think that Kardec invented Spiritism, and that is not that is not true at all. And that is exactly what he wanted to show. So Spiritism was always in the world. So, the principles of Spiritism is there everywhere. And
the moral teachings, yes. So, and he very well spotted he was just making this possible. And also, on the second part is the invisible world. Okay, he was more attuned to what is the biggest problems we have, but this analyzed not by ourselves, our human errors, but analyzed by God's attributes. And do you know what are the God's attributes? Then we need to go to question 13 in the Spirit's book. And I will read it here because I'm very bad memorizing things. Okay, so the attributes in question 13 of the book, the Spirit's book, is God is eternal, God is immutable, God is immaterial, God is unique, God is all-powerful, God is supremely just and good. Okay? So, in the second part, we analyze that. Who was analyzing it? Do you agree with that, Sarah?
Yeah, for sure. And I think that his way of thinking was, let's start from the beginning, like Kardec did in the Spirit's book. So let's start explaining God, because if you try and understand Spiritism on all the teachings about Spiritism, all the concepts that we have, if you don't understand God, if you don't understand this powerful force first, it will be incomplete. So first you need to understand God and what is God's creation. And there's a little bit of Genesis there as well, but mainly he's explaining what God is, and all the principles come after.
Yes. Yeah. It is. So we need to understand that. So the beauty of this book is Leon Denis never go apart of Allan Kardec. He always, again, for those who already read the Spirit's book, the Gospel according to Spiritism, Genesis, Heaven and Hell, if you want to see the same essence, the same philosophy, the same word, the same thing, but written in different words, in a different eyes, you must read after that. Because you see Kardec's idea showing from a different angle, without changing it, without modifying it. And we can go through some comments here we have about the book. When he delivered the book, there is one spiritist writer, and his name is Ernest Bosque. He said, it is an Echandron manual made available to the most modest intelligences, and meanwhile a complete summary of the teachings of the spirits. It is the true doctrine, in that it has a broad, permanent, and as it were universal. Okay? So, it's great to keep us aware that many people concur with the same idea as Kardec. Okay, so this gives us the reality that in the 19th century, I can say there were more spiritists than we have today, for example. Because today we have spiritists in concentrated areas. Okay, here in Europe, like in Ireland, we don't have so many spiritists, but in 19th century, were more spiritists here in Europe than any part of the world. Okay, so they had newspapers, magazines, books, bookstore dedicated to spirits books. So we can see that at that time it was a very good approach. But perhaps you were saying to me, oh, Stevan, but in 19th century is perhaps not a good epoch to talk about spiritism. And I'm asking this to you, Samanta. Do you think in 19th century it was a good time to launch the spirits book?
I'm sure it is, yeah.
Yeah? Good one. Yeah. And it is because it was, and explain why, because we had in 19th century, it was the ending, in quotes, of a very severe religious domination, okay, by the medieval times in which the church owns everything, controls everything, imposes everything. So, and it was the beginning of the materialism, okay, because it's the opposition of the religious imposition, okay. And Kardec brought this book in the middle of these two, I forgot the name. Why when you say it's not epoch, it's not these two schools. I don't know, is that the correct term, but between these two eras, let's say, okay? And Kardec launched the book at this time because he was saying, hey, this is not too materialist, this is not too religious. And he explains a bit of everything. That's why the triple aspect of the Spiritism are philosophy, science, and religion. That's the three main pillars of the Spiritism doctrine or Spiritism teachings. Okay? Okay. So just always we're gonna, when we start to read any author, this is not only with the spiritual, but any author from the past, we need to understand what's the cultural, the movement at that time. Like someone, I don't know, perhaps in 100 years, in 2121, when they will read books that is written today, they will need to analyze, okay, those guys in 2020, 2021, the population were isolated by a pandemic. They have all these, and they need to analyze this, and they need to then go through this author and decide and read then with the mind over there. Am I too wrong here, Sa?
No. I think it makes sense. If you want to understand a work of a writer, you need to understand the time that they lived, so you can understand better why they wrote what they wrote.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so keep it going here, and then the last part, which is the The cherry on the top of the cake is the last 2 chapters. He called one of the chapters called the right path, the straight path. It is to understand why. This goes to explain some question. Let's give you this example here. When Kardec was writing a book and saying, I don't recall as the name of the number of the question, but the question is about this in my words. Okay, so I just need to do the good, be charity, and everything going smoothly, everything is going right. And the Spirit's answer, no. You need to undergo to trials, expiations, fix yourself. And why Kardec wrote that question? Because a night before, he had a dream. And in his dream, he was in a very lower place, lower vibration place, with people suffering, and he was able to see some people over there suffering. And then Kardec said to the mentor who was with him at the time, say, are those people the emperors of the past who made very bad things, who killed a lot of people? And the mentor said, well, even though those are primary spirits, suffering spirits, no, they are not there. And the second attempt from Kardec, okay, who are those spirits who cause any trouble to the country, to the government? And the Spirit said, no, they are not. And then he said, okay, I give up. Who are they? They said, those people were Christians who knows what they need to do. They have the perfect knowledge, the perfect way to understand Christians' lessons, but they did not apply it. They didn't use that. Again, we already have discussed here, we are incarnated. So once we are incarnated, it's not due to punishment, it's not due to anything else. It's just because we feel the need to incarnate in order to undergo some imperfections we have, and based on the virtues we acquired up to a certain point of life, we think we need to undergo some tests, let's say this, some trials, in order to make sure. It's like when you go to school. Do you like tests? You like to do tests, Samanta?
Well, they are not really present, but they are necessary.
Yeah, but see, well, she's giving right answers now. Yeah, that's exactly this. When we need to go to school, I don't know, we spend like 1 month, 2 months learning, doing our research, studying, and after these 2 months or 3 months, I don't know how often, or you have a test. The test is to evaluate your knowledge in such topic, in such object. Okay? That's exactly incarnation it is. This is exactly. Some don't like. I am the one like Samantha. I don't like that kind of thing. I don't like test. You know. especially me, was to memorize all these things. I had trouble, I had a lot of trouble. But again, and then Kardec wrote that question in the Spirit's book. Why? Okay, if I'm just good, I'm doing the charity. I'm a good man. I'm a good person. Am I saved? The Spirit said, no. Hey, wait. This is one of the ingredients of this baking. When you bake a bread, you put a lot of ingredients in a recipe, So being charitable, being honest, being a humble person, following the moral laws, the divine laws, which is the natural laws. Okay, we put this in the bowl and we mix it up. Okay, so we need to understand that. And the Spirit said, no, but this is one of the program, but not essentially everything, not just doing it. Okay, so in this chapter, which is the straight path, Leon Denis goes to item by item, exploring what is the pathway you need to go. That's why the chapter name calls the right path, the straight path. No? Samantha, before we go on, you said you have two parts in the book you want to share. So
Yeah.
do you want to share
Yeah.
with us?
Yeah, exactly.
She
So
read
that
this
is
and she said,
actually,
"Oh, this is very good."
yeah, there's actually a very good moment to show those parts, because I agree with everything that you said. So the structure of his book is really, like, he is a very structured person. So he wrote the book in a way that one thing comes after the other, and then at the end, this last chapter explains exactly what you said. So it is important to understand all of those things. Those are concepts, those are theories, and they are very important. Those are the ingredients that you need to know. But to make a cake, you need to really put the hands there and actually do it, make the cake. And that's exactly what he explains. You need to put everything in practice. You have to put everything in practice. And it is important that you become a very good person. So Spiritism has this, the main principle is to progress and is to become perfect. And the way you become perfect is undergoing those trials and trying to be a better person. And this is the playing field where you can experience all of that. So that's what he explains at the end. So you need to do the right thing. You need to be good with other people. You need to be conscious about your actions and all of that. So it is really nice, because as a philosophy, Spiritism has a lot to say, but there is this practical part of it as well. And the parts that I brought explains his way of thinking. So let me just get here. One second. So there you go. So one part that I found really interesting in his book is that he says our institutions, and I think it's very current. It is good for our situation at the moment, for everything that is happening at the moment, and this phase that we are going through. So he says, our institutions may change in form, but they can never rid us of those evil that we are inherent in our imperfect nature. The happiness of men does not depend upon political changes, revolutions, or any other social modification, so long as society remains corrupt. Even so will its institutions be, no matter how many changes may intervene. The only remedy lies in that moral transformation to which the higher teaching shows us the way. If man would but bestow upon this task a little of that passionate interest which he devotes to politics, if he would only pluck from his heart the root of his alignment, then would social inquiety soon cease to exist. So I think this part is really interesting because it has a lot to do with the end of his book, showing us how important it is for us to act. Because what we do is we basically just we give all of our power to our politics or to our government, and put on them the responsibility of changing the world or changing society or changing our own circumstances. And we put the blame in the government. What he shows here is that we are all imperfect in nature. And this passage has a lot to do with the fact that we are living in this world of transformation. So we are the world in itself is transforming, and we are becoming better. So we are much better than we were before, and we will be better in the future as well. And it's a process. So it sure shows exactly that. So we are imperfect in nature, and we are progressing. And at this moment, even if everything changed, even if there was a government that was perfect and would change everything, we would find a way of corrupt it, because it's our imperfect nature and it's our moment. So we are transforming ourselves, but we are in this process. So you need to think about the actions that you have to take, and not put the responsibility under anybody else, any government or any institution or anything like that. It's a moral transformation that you need to undergo, so you can change the human nature. So that is one point. And the other one is when he talks about the purpose of life, and he says, this being understood, we find some order established in the prevailing chaos, and are able to see daylight ahead. The aim of life is rendered more intelligible. We at least know what we are and whither we go. Henceforth, material pleasure will cease to be our object, and an ardent endeavor towards self-improvement will take its place. The supreme aim is perfection. The road that leads to it is the road of self-improvement. The road is long, and progress is indefinitely slow. The distant end appears to recede as one approaches it, but as each successive stage is gained, some reward is reaped for each difficulty overcome. A reward which takes the form of an enriched experience and an enlarged capacity. Our destinies are all identical. There are no privileged nor cursed beings. All must tread the same tremendous road, and all, despite 1,000 obstacles, are called upon to share in the same ultimate destiny. We are free to be sure, free to accelerate or to delay our progress, free to step ourselves in vulgar enjoyment, free to squander away entire existences in vice and sloth. But sooner or later, the sense of duty will awaken. Then will pain quicken our apathy, and we shall find ourselves obliged to take up our burdens and move on. So that is, for me, a passage that summarizes so well the purpose of life.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is really beautiful here is the more you learn about Spiritism, the more you know, the less you care about materialist things. So it's a process that you, as he said, we are and combining those two passages, he says we are imperfect in nature, we are still evolving, we have a long way to go, but at the same time he shows the way. He shows that the more you learn about things, the more you put those things in practice, the more kind you are, you kind of become fulfilled with this energy, and that actually diminishes the need for material things or for material pleasures of this world. And
Yeah,
that way you become better.
yeah. We need to understand, like, the material things here is, we, of course, we talk about wealth, money is important, but is, you need to be under control, not these material things control you. So being
Yeah.
rich, be very wealthy is a problem? No, it's not a problem at all. Okay, it's not a problem at all to have your aspirations to get more, to work in a better place, to increase your salary. No problem at all. The problem is once these feelings control you and not you control those feelings. That's the materialism part.
Yeah.
Okay, and like
Yeah.
uh, uh, Harvey Brown said earlier, we should be so grateful for this opportunity and take advantage of it. Just focus on improving at your speed. And Daniel compliments. Divine providence provides us the opportunity to practice our good deeds, but our brothers have free will. That's it. That's exactly what I said. So you had the opportunity to be very wealthy, to be very successful in your work. Great, brilliant. But you have the free will. How are you gonna choose it? How are you gonna deal with that? It's you. It's not God, it's not your mom, it's not your dad, it's not your neighbor, not your boss. It's not, is you. The only person responsible for the good things and bad things in your life, it's you. Nobody else. Nobody else. Okay? This reminds me, remember, Samantha, that I think you had that movie, The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
Okay? One of the main characters there, the young lady says, "Oh, I have to. I have no option. I have no option." All the time she used that as an excuse to not to go undergo other people, but to make decisions that she's not liking to have that decision, but he was forced to make that decision. He said, "Oh, I have no other option. I have no other option." Okay, but in the end she realized that yes, I have the power of my life, I have and she decided to uh, 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 put all that career, all that achievements she have acquired to a certain level of her life, she just put away and keep going with her life. So that's the free will. Again, we said last week in our live with Els and Wanderlei, no punishment, no. God will not spend time to say, "Oh, Samantha is doing this wrong. I will catch her on next corner. I will punish her." No way, guys. No way. We are the main characters of our hell, and our heaven is up to us. And this Leon Denis explained brilliantly. I strongly invite you and recommend to you to read at least after death. It's 334 pages in which you go very flawlessly. You will see how Kardec's teachings, especially for those who read all the books from Kardec, all 5 principal books, because Kardec wrote 22 books, but all 5 books, those who read that, you will see in each paragraph, in each chapter, you will see a compilation of all works from Kardec.
Yeah.
You know, and I have one more comment here. This what's the name? The guy, the Ernest Bosch. He said the moral part. These are comments from the book. The moral part, which is the last part. The moral part is a true masterpiece. We would like to see you on a reprint. It constitutes in itself a small treatise of the virtue that should be in the hands of all people. It's not possible after reading the straight path to be no better than before reading this beautiful philosophical passage. Again, Leon Denis, he was a philosopher. So he writes the same thing. Kardec, like Samanta said, is more scientific. Leon Denis is more philosophical. So you will see, in a simple words, the same lessons you have read in Kardec's. And again, this is the first part of our 2 episodes here, 2 shows here. Next week, as I said, we will have here Flavio Zanetti. He'll be here with us, and he go through more the books of Kardec, of Leon Denis. I was saying here, we the architects of our own destiny. Agenda of Incarnation existing in our eternal life book. Yeah, we are the architects. We are responsible for everything. We are responsible for everything. We are the main characters.
Yeah.
Okay? So, again, anything to add, Samantha, on your end?
Yeah, I just wanted to add two other things. One is that from what we learn from Leon Denis, we see that he was a very correct person. So he, in his own life, he understood the purpose, and he put a lot of it in practice as well. So he was a very good person. And the other thing that I wanted to say is that he learned so much, and he wrote a lot about it, but he wanted to share that with people as well. And he started to do talks. So I think he was one of the first ones that started talking about Spiritism in this very open way, as we are doing today. And he started this model that we have today in Spiritist centers, where we have public meetings, we talk about the Spiritist philosophy, and we want to share everything with other people. It's not that we want to teach anybody anything. We just want to share our ideas, because we believe in it so much that we want the whole world to know. Right. So I think that was a very good thing as well, that started probably with him. Not sure if it was with him, but he was very good at it.
He was a very good speaker. Yeah.
Exactly. So he was a very his word was really sweet and nice. So he was really good at it. I think I'm not as good as a person as him, but I'm trying to learn. But I think maybe we all are very passionate about what we believe, and that's why we are here trying to follow, his path.
Yeah. And also, just to give you an idea, guys, he met Kardec two times, and the end of his life, he was a kind of blind, because he had to read a lot, study a lot at night. That time. Sometimes we don't have electricity. We don't have electricity. It's more lamp, candles, and all these. Like the poor quality of, even though electricity, but it's in a very poor quality. But he learned the blind people reading the braille. I don't know if in English I say braille. He learned how to read that, and even though blind, he was still studying and writing and commenting and making his speech about spiritism. So that's the lesson. Yeah, so I also remember a lot of things. Yeah, Arthur Conan Doyle were friends in 1925. So they exchanged a lot of knowledge as well. They were in contact with Conan Doyle, and he was in contact of these most philosophers of that time, and well respected. Okay, so 2 minutes to end our time. So thank you very much. I hope you liked this introduction. We try just to give you an idea what's the importance of Leon Denis. For sure, on Thursday with Flavio here, he studied Leon Denis in a very professional way. He will give you more details about his Leon Denis' ideas, studies, way to think. He goes through some examples. He will give you more background related to Leon Denis. And also, you can, if you go to Amazon, amazon.com, amazon.co.uk, Braille, thank you, Daniel. Amazon.co.uk, for amazon.com.br, and you just write there Leon Denis, and you will have the books of Leon Denis in English, in Spanish, and in Portuguese, and also in French. So you have these books already translated, very good translations. So you can go, and it's very affordable price. So you can go to Amazon and buy either in Kindle, or if you want a paper book, you can just order your book and you'll be delivered to your home. So go to amazon.com, amazon.uk, co.uk, or amazon.com.br. Okay, as agreed, my dear, you are in charge of the final prayer.
Okay, let's do it. So please close your eyes if you want. Raise your thoughts to Jesus, to God, to our spiritual friends. Align with your mentor. Elevate your thoughts and your feelings to God. So let's be thankful for everything that we have in this life, all of those things that are lended to us that we use for our mission here on earth. Let's be thankful for our families, for our friends, for the situation that we enjoy in life, whatever that situation is, because there's a reason for that. So let's be grateful for our work, for our studies, for all the learnings that we acquire in this life. Let's be always thinking about God and Jesus and be united with the spiritual friends so we can be inspired, so we can be helped, so we can find the right path, the right attitude, the right thinking. And with that, we can walk this path in a better way. Every day a little bit more. It doesn't matter if it's small steps. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake and tomorrow you discover that that attitude was wrong. Just forgive yourself and continue. And think of ways you can repair that. And think of ways you can improve from that. And so perhaps next time we won't do the same mistake again. Trust in God. Let's ask our spiritual friends to enlighten us so we can always be with the right mindset, so we can always be with God and Jesus, and we can always be aligned with the good work of the spirits and become a better spirit ourselves. So be it.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darno. Thank you. Don also read the accent talk. I starts the big enigma this morning, just few pages. I like it. This writing style, very readable. Yeah, it is. It is. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you on Thursday at 7:15 London time. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.